I'm not sure if like many of you have been like are aware of it or have been keeping up, but there recently there was a student expelled from Western University because they wouldn't comply with the university's job policies. So um, yeah, and so I'm going to so yeah, like there's like an update on that. So I'm gonna pull up an article right now, which helps like explain it all. So this is an article from True North that says, "What's next for Harry Wade, the 22-year-old expelled from Western University?" And here's a video of here's a picture of him getting arrested in class. So and then it says it says two short videos of 22-year-old engineering student Harry Wade. So this is him. Went viral this month. In the first clip, he's seen in a classroom being handcuffed and escorted out by special constables at Western University. And in the second, he's seen being dragged out by his limbs. October 13th was the deadline for students at Western University to provide proof of getting the job or face suspension. Wade, opposed to sharing his private health information to access educational services, didn't provide any such proof and has since noted he has not received the COVID-19 jab. And here's I think this is a video of his arrest. So it's from so so the account that posted it is called Western Savages. So I'm guessing that's an account associated with the university maybe, or yeah, it's something like that. So I'm gonna play the video right now.
You need an extra mask.
Okay, so that's the end of that video. So there's a caption below. It says, "No jab plus no mask equals." I think that's like a police car emoji. So I'm guessing that means like being getting arrested. And it says Western student arrested for a second time after showing up to a second-year engineering class unjabbed and unmasked. For a few weeks, For a few weeks following that October 13th deadline, Wade continued to access his classes without issue, but on November 10th, he was greeted by special constables outside his classroom and received a $65 fine for trespassing. Man, this like whole trespassing thing, like I don't understand. Like what like he's going there like for like his classes. So I don't understand like why he would be trespassed if he's there like just like everyone else to like learn. So I don't understand this whole like trespassing stuff. Um, and also like some of the some of the stores or businesses they're also doing this like thing as well where they're like trespassing people who aren't like who aren't like wearing masks like because of like some medical condition or like if they're not jabbed like a lot of businesses now like they're also like trespassing people as well if they're not like jabbed or wearing a mask. So even though like they're there even though they're at the business for like the same reason as everyone else is to like buy something, but yet these like these stores or businesses they'll trespass someone like just because they aren't like wearing a mask or if they got jabbed. So here's some. So in this article, it's something similar too, where like Harry Wade gets trespassed because apparently like he shows up on campus for just like everyone else to like learn something, but apparently because he's not jabbed or wearing a mask, like apparently that's considered trespassing now. So yeah, like this whole like trespassing stuff, it's getting ridiculous now. And it's like there's no logic to it as well too because it's not like because like these are because like it's a public place as well, like the university and like a lot of businesses. So if they're open to the public, then how can someone be trespassing unless they tried to break in, like if the place was closed. But other than that, like I don't understand this whole trespassing stuff. It's getting ridiculous. So then it says the next day he was handcuffed and given a court summons. And the following week, he was dragged out by his hands and feet. By November 18th, he had been formally expelled from Western University, with his expulsion letter citing his noncompliance with the university's COVID-19 jab policy. While Wade originally felt supported by many of his fellow classmates, who would let him know which days his classroom was or wasn't being guarded by special constables, contact with these classmates has now ceased. And I think here's another video. I think this is the second video where he gets dragged out by his legs and hands from class. I'm gonna play the video right now. Okay, so I think that was a shorter video, so that's the end of it. And the caption for this video says the same student has been removed from class yet again for being unmasked and unjabbed, this time being carried out by his arms and legs. In the viral videos, Wade's peers can be seen looking on apathetically as he was hauled out of the class. I don't know what the students have been told, said Wade. The special constable has made a point of letting me know they could be found culpable or receive their own charges for interfering with my arrest. Since then, I haven't received any communication from the students that were helping me up until that point. Despite accusations that he's merely seeking attention, Wade reiterated that his main concerns are about mandatory jobs, civil liberties, and medical discrimination, not about him. The focus is on me because they want to make an example of me to intimidate other students. He has also decided against attending university in another country with no job mandates. My responsibilities are here. I have family here, and we are entrenched here. As grim as the outlook may be, we feel like we can do a lot of help here, at least while my story is still relevant. For now, he's simply seeking a job where he won't be subject to a jab mandate, though he feels increasingly shut out from many lines of work. I'm sure like many Canadians are feeling that too. It's not like I'm sure many Canadians who aren't with this whole like this whole job like policy stuff, like many of them are feeling shut out as a lot of places now they won't even like yeah, like a lot of jobs now they won't even consider like hiring you unless you've been jabbed. So yeah, and yeah, like it's just yeah, it's pretty much like to the point where you're pretty much yeah, like you're ostracized from society at this point, like if you're not jabbed. So and I think starting today, like if you're not if you're unjabbed, like if you haven't been jabbed, then you won't be able to travel anywhere in Canada. Like as a Canadian citizen, like you won't be able to like travel by plane, and I think by like certain trains as well. You won't be allowed to travel if you're not jabbed. So that's another like problem. So yeah, like if you're not jabbed, then it's pretty much like it's becoming more difficult to do anything now, especially now that like many workplaces won't even consider like hiring you if you're not jabbed. So yeah, it's just really sad. So then it says, I don't know how Canadians can continue to justify the jab as case numbers continue to rise. even as we have high jab rates in Wade. I'm concerned that instead of having discussions about the efficacy of the jab, we're going to start deflecting blame onto people that have already been excluded from society. I don't know how they could possibly accuse us of being responsible for rising case numbers of the disease. So, so for that one, yeah, like the government, all they're doing is saying how it's they're blaming like people the unjab, like people who haven't like taken the shot. Like the government is blaming them, basically saying how the unjabbed are preventing like the country from reopening and all that, which is like nonsense. As it's actually the government that doesn't want like things to reopen. So like they don't want things to get back to normal, like pre-COVID, as like many of these like politicians and health authorities, they pretty much given themselves like so much like authority and power like during this crisis or whatever you want to call it, this pandemic. So it's not like they're gonna easily let all that power and authority go. So like it's government that doesn't want like things to get back to normal or things to reopen. So and to like and, yeah and to like deflect the blame and all that, they're trying to like blame the unjab. They're saying how it's the unjab people who are like preventing things from getting back to normal, which is like not true. It's false. So yeah, like they just want to create all this division among people, especially among like those who have been jabbed, and again against those who haven't been jabbed. Like they want to create this like divide or this wedge issue between like people who have taken the jab and those who haven't. So to distract from like what the government's doing and all that. So yeah, like it's all just it's like just distractions to just like deflect attention away from like what the government is doing. And also then it says, despite being barred from all Ontario campuses for 5 years and having trouble finding employment, Wade believes there will be a shift in the national mood as more Canadians are ordered to take booster shots. Yeah, like then it says, I think within 5 years attitudes will change and then they'll be ready to confront the issues that we were facing at the time. Wade thinks that down the line he may even see a public apology from the university. People are dying because of side effects from this jab. Where is their um, where is their apology, right? I think they're entitled to an apology before I am. When clearer heads prevail, I'm sure there will be some sort of acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Western University did not respond. Western University did not respond to requests for comment. So yeah, I think that's the end of the article. And yeah, so like what yeah, so he's not wrong when he says like people are dying because of side effects from the jab. Well, that's true, as people are like having like problems with like heart inflammation or like blood clots and all that, especially like younger people, like like the guys, like males, like especially them. They're like having all sorts of like heart problems after they've taken the jab, especially like after the second dose. So but like the government and mainstream media, they're like trying to downplay all that, and they're trying to say things like how like these how the jabs are safe and all that, and they're like trying to downplay all these like side effects. So yeah, like he's not wrong there, but Yeah, and then he says, yeah, and also like he's having like Wade, Harry Wade is also having trouble finding employment. Well, yeah, that's been a problem in Canada for like a while now. It's not only like with this, like even before COVID, that's been a problem too. So I think now with like the pandemic and all the restrictions, I think people are realizing like how like limited like finding employment is. But even before like COVID, like like finding like finding work in Canada has been like very difficult as like we like the country like Canada already had like the highest unemployment rate in the G7 before, yeah, before 2020, like before all these lockdowns started. So like, yeah, so this like so like when it comes to finding employment, like that's been an issue like almost for like for a while now in Canada. And yeah, and also like part of the problem too is that a lot of workplaces, yeah, like many workplaces, they're more interested in hiring they're more interested in hiring like foreign workers or temporary foreign workers, like whatever they're called, like, you know, people who come from like other countries. So like, yeah, like people who come from abroad, like on these temporary like foreign worker visas. Like, yeah, a lot of workplaces, they're more like interested in hiring like those kinds of people rather than like domestic workers or Canadian workers. So yeah, that's why like a lot of Canadians are have been like have trouble finding employment. So yes, but yeah, like COVID, like it's pretty much made it like impossible to find work, especially if you're not a job. But even before COVID, like it's been very difficult, especially as a Canadian citizen, to find work. As a lot of workplaces, um, like they prefer to hire like foreign workers. So as like, yeah, like, yeah, there's like a lot of like these there's a lot of like cheap labor practices happening in Canada where a lot of workplaces just simply prefer to hire like foreign workers like from other countries over like domestic or Canadian workers. Like I guess, yeah, like I think it's because like, yeah, like it's cheap labor, like meaning that they don't get paid as much compared to domestic workers. And like they and also like they have less rights than Canadian workers do. So like so it means that like employers can easily take advantage of like foreign workers. So I think that's another reason why like a lot of workplaces in Canada prefer to hire like foreign work, like people from like other countries. So like, yeah, because they don't have as much rights or and they don't get paid as much compared to Canadian workers. So I think that may be one of the reasons why like a lot of workplaces like don't really want to hire like, you know, Canadian workers or people who are born and raised in Canada. So yeah, like it's really sad. And now with COVID, it's become like impossible now to find work, especially if you're not like, especially if you haven't taken the job. So it's, yeah, like it's really sad. And you know, and everyone thinks that like Canada's supposed to be a place of opportunity and all that, which um yeah, like it's supposed to be like, yeah, like it's supposed to be, but it seems like right now, the way it is right now, and even like before COVID, it seems like they're like in Canada, like unless like like yeah, like if you're a foreigner, then you have more chance of finding work in this country than the Canadian citizen does. So it's, you know, it's really sad. So yeah, now with like all these restrictions, it's become like very difficult to find any like meaningful employment. So yeah, like it's sad like what, yeah, so it's sad like what things have come to. And yeah, and so like this Harry Wade guy now, it's like he's like all like his chances of like finding work. And yeah, so his chance of like get of a career in mechanical engineering, I think it was, and or like even finding employment has pretty much like gone down the it's pretty much like gone down the toilet with all this with him being expelled from the university now. So it's really sad, like what's come to, and it shows like, and yeah, this is just an example of how of what getting an education in Canada is like, as it's pretty obvious that you're not learning anything in the schools right now, as they're more interested in pushing like political agendas rather than actually teaching students things that things of value, or like stuff that they actually like can benefit from. So yeah, it just shows how the schools, they're more interested in pushing like political agendas or things that the government pushes, like these job mandates. So yeah, it's really sad, and it shows like, yeah, now, yeah, and also now that now the schools, they want to like jab the kids, like the kindergartner kids or elementary school kids without parental consent. So that's another problem too. And a lot of parents, they don't seem to care, or like they're not aware of it. So that's another problem too. So yeah, like there's a lot happening in this country, like in Canada. But the problem though is, I guess a lot of Canadians are not like really like awake or like aware about all this, as many of them, I guess, yeah, like a lot of Canadians seem to think that like the government and people in positions of authority like somehow are like looking out for their best interests. So like they can't many can't seem to comprehend that like what the government is doing is like could like possibly be illegal or unlawful. So especially now with all these job mandates. So yeah, it's another problem too. So it's like, so that's the end of this article. I can close that now. So yeah, like it's, yeah, like there's lots of problems in Canada right now, and it's really sad that like a lot of Canadians, they don't seem to like they don't seem to like really like comprehend, or they seem to be very like they're not really awake as to like what the problems in this country are with like with the job mandates and all that. And like a lot of parents, they either they're unaware, or they don't seem to really care that the schools want to jab their kids without their consent. So yeah, like it's like really sad. So like, I really hope people start like pushing back against this, as like everything that's happening now is like pretty much an erosion of like, yeah, like it's pretty much like a violation of the charter and constitution. So, and yeah, it's like an erosion of people's freedoms too. So it's really sad, like the state of affairs right now in Canada. So yeah, I hope people start like waking up and pushing back against all these unlawful mandates. So that's everything I have to say. And